Hello and welcome to another ASMR video by Just Listen, your destination for relaxation. As promised, I've brought Ziggy along to this video, and he's kind of just woken up this morning, so he's going to be a little more placid than usual, or perhaps a little more defensive than usual. You see, Eclectus parrots are very docile birds, especially the male ones. Their response when they're afraid of something is to just, well, you see he lashes out a little bit, but if he's really afraid of something, then he'll just stand still and hope that whatever it is doesn't see him. He's a little irritable at the moment because he's just woken up, and I think he still wants to just sit there, so I won't bother him that much. So because Eclectus parrots tend to just sit still when they're afraid or when they feel threatened, you've got to be careful with them, because if something like a cat or a dog were to come at them, then they wouldn't have any effective way of defending themselves. I mean, sure, they can fly away, but because they're quite a large bird, it takes a moment for them to fly away, to take off. Eclectus parrots can also be a little bit demanding in that when they want to be fed, they will demand it. So although he doesn't squawk a lot, he doesn't make noise very often, when he decides it's time to be fed, he'll let you know by letting out a loud squawk. The Eclectus parrot usually eats fruits and vegetables and a little bit of seed, but seed has a lot of fat in it, so they shouldn't have too much. Some millet, which is a favourite of budgerigars, forms the main portion of the Eclectus parrot's seed intake. A little bit of sunflower seed provides some fat, and during the winter months he gets a little bit more sunflower seed than normal so that he can build up a bit of fat to keep him warm. But if the Eclectus parrot has too much fat, he'll get fatty liver, which is a big killer amongst parrots. And the difficulty that a lot of pet owners have with parrots is that the parrot will demand the fattiest seeds that they can get because they like it, just like with humans. And when he gets his sunflower seeds, then he's happy. You have to change his diet gradually over winter. He gets a little bit more seed and a little bit more sunflower seeds, but then as we warm up, getting into summer, we'll gradually reduce his seed and his sunflower seeds. But if you do it too suddenly, he gets very angry when he sees that you haven't given him as much seed as he would normally have. He'll start screaming. He's kind of like, just imagine like a chimpanzee or a toddler. They rely on their routine, and then if suddenly their routine isn't what they want, or if suddenly they don't get what they think they've been promised, they have a little tantrum. So typically when we're at home, Ziggy is allowed out of his cage and he can fly around the room and pretty much go wherever he wants. Because he's a very placid bird, he doesn't really get up to mischief. So even on the occasions when we've accidentally left his cage open, or when he's managed to open the door of his cage when we're away. He might fly around the room a little bit, but he doesn't tend to get up to any mischief. He's not like a toddler or, like a cat that might immediately get into the things that they're not supposed to get into. He does know where his seed is stored in the room, and the worst he's done is try to open the bag of seed. But other than that, he's a very well-behaved boy. If asked whether I recommend eclectus parrots as a pet, well, that's kind of a difficult question, because on the one hand, they're very good pets because they tend to behave themselves, especially the males. I can only really speak for the males. Apparently the females can be a little bit more difficult, but generally they behave very well, especially if they're hand raised and if they're treated like part of the family and given plenty of attention, then Ziggy behaves very well. However, he has very specific needs, like his nutrition really isn't negotiable. He has to be given the correct foods. And the other thing is, because eclectus parrots are tropical birds, when the weather gets cold, he's not always the healthiest because he's not supposed to get that cold. Sometimes he gets a little respiratory problem in his nostrils, and so for the last few winters we've had to take him to the vet, and the vet has given us some medicine to give to him, which he hates, because to give him the medicine it tastes bad, and you have to hold him down and hold his beak open and force it into his beak. You've got to put it on the back of his tongue so that when he tries to get out of it, it forces it down his throat, and he really hates that. But that's what we have to do. Other than that, he's a very healthy boy. If you compare the eclectus parrot with other parrots, some parrots tend to bond with one human only, whereas other species of parrot will bond with lots of humans, and some parrots get very intense emotions and feel sort of unhealthy connections to their human, the kind of relationship that should only be between a bird and a bird, or a human and a human. Some birds blur that line, but I think eclectus parrots are quite good and don't get too fixated on one human. Ziggy is friendly with everybody, and what he likes the most is people who aren't too animated, people who are nice and calm, don't wave their arms around and don't yell. But he's also good with children. He's just a little bit wary that little kids, toddlers, wave their arms around a lot and might grab at him. So he's a little wary, and he likes to hang back when there's children around. Now if you compare that with a cockatoo, cockatoos tend to be a lot different from that. Cockatoos like to go crazy and scream a lot, and they like to dance, and they have very strong emotions and get very fixated on humans. Cockatiels, which are the smallest cockatoo, are a little different from this. Cockatiels, you could describe them as very derpy birds. They can be a little more placid, and they like to sing a lot. Conures often bond with one person rather than with everyone. Their relatives, the macaws, are more gregarious and will play and cuddle with anyone and everyone. Budgerigars are very active, and the males are very talkative. But sometimes they have been known to fixate on one person and be defensive. Rainbow lorikeets are very playful and very talkative, very loud. Screechy birds. I once had a pair of rainbow lorikeets, and the male was very friendly, but the female wasn't. And I've had a musk lorikeet, and she was very friendly, although I'm not really sure if she was male or female. Eclectus parrots are considered to be in the top 3 most intelligent parrots, and they're very good at talking, but they're quite shy about it. They put the things that they say in context, so while I'm not sure how much of what he's saying he understands, he'll say things in a context that makes sense, and it often seems as though he knows what he's saying. For example, if he bites somebody, well, he doesn't really bite, but if he pecks somebody a little too firmly, or if he gets your finger in his beak, we would say to him, "Ow, gentle." And he clearly knows the context for this command, because when he does it, he also says, "Ow, gentle," when he pecks. Now, when I say he bites, he doesn't bite hard. His beak is strong enough that it's like a pair of tin snips. If he wanted to take off your finger, that would be possible for him. But he'll grab your finger with his beak just to kind of pull himself up, or to get your attention. So it's not malicious. He just does it to balance himself, or sort of to play. He's a very docile bird, but he doesn't like it when things are poked up in his direction, like microphones. I'm holding this microphone towards him, but I don't want to put it too close because he doesn't really like it. The male eclectus has green feathers and a yellow beak, whereas the female eclectus has red feathers and a black beak. In the wild, the male eclectus's job is to bring food to the female and to help support her as she sits in the nest so that she can raise the chicks. The juvenile males will help out, bringing food to the female, even if they're not the father, which they usually aren't. The prospects of a juvenile male eclectus being able to mate in the future depend on how well he behaves when he's younger. If a juvenile male eclectus parrot misbehaves or in any way upsets the female, she may just kill him. So I think about that when I consider the reasons why Ziggy is such a well-natured pet, because I think it's his nature as a male eclectus parrot to be a people pleaser. We have considered getting him a girlfriend. However, with parrots, when you get them a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they can become more bird-orientated than people-orientated, and they can start to behave differently and become a little bit more wild. There's also the chance that the female could hurt him. Female eclectuses can be more demanding because it's their job to sit in a nest and demand food from the males, and they will happily make humans fill that role for them of bringing food. Some parrots are good for just sitting on your shoulder and keeping you company and not causing trouble. That's really an eclectus parrot thing. Other parrots, like budgerigars, are more for like entertaining you with their talking or with their crazy playfulness. The kind of parrot you might want depends on the kind of person you are and your lifestyle. But at any rate, all parrots require a certain amount of attention. They're all social creatures and they need to feel some kind of connection with people or with other birds. I think Ziggy's getting a little irritable, so I might just end this ASMR video here. But I hope you enjoyed hearing about Eclectus parrots. I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, this is Just Listen, your destination for relaxation.